welcome to another beautiful time on Amazing Amazon and Captain TV. Hope you enjoyed the last episode of the show. Yes, it's another time to have another conversation with a great personality, our Amazon for the weekend. So welcome to the show. Call your friends, your neighbors, and tell them that it's about to get started. I'll be back. When we look at our community, we'll say that we've got so many problems on our hands. And what measure are we taking to curb all of these problems, all of these challenges? Yesterday, I will be speaking with a social entrepreneur, talking to us how she has been moving on in the social enterprise and what she has been doing to curb some problems. What's measure? And why do we need to embrace social entrepreneurship and the benefits to the society? So join me on the interview segment. Welcome to the interview segment. Thank you for joining us again. Today we want to talk about social entrepreneurship. I would be talking to a social entrepreneur because there is a lot to learn today. Yes, in person of Tolulope Makinwa. She is a social entrepreneur and development practitioner. So nice to have you.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you're looking good. Great.
Thank you.
Black and beautiful. Ebony. I love the black. It's so beautiful.
So much. Thank you.
So now, while going through your profile, I saw something that actually caught my attention. I saw Omo Akin. I know the meaning because I'm Yoruba. So why did you give yourself that name, Omo Akin? Wow. What's it in English for the non-speaking, non-Yoruba speaking audience?
So how I got about that name, Omo Akin, it was a pastor of mine, Pastor Tosin Adeyemi. So I was in church and then he asked me that, do you know the meaning of your surname, Makinwa? And being the Yoruba girl I am, I tried to look for different definitions that Makinwa. So I am thinking maybe Aki is a warrior, someone who is courageous. So I'm saying Makinwa is bring the warrior. And he said, no, it's deeper than that. In fact, your name is now Omo Akin. Wow. And so he gave me that name jokingly and I had to go sit down and then I started thinking about my ancestral lineage. And then I realized that my four forefathers were very courageous people. They were fighters. And even from my maternal side and my paternal side, they were both very courageous people. My grandfather was a king. My grandmom too was the daughter of a king. Then my father as well, that lineage as well. So I said, I'm coming from an ancestral lineage of fighters, of warriors, of very confident people. And then I said, you know what? That's going to be my watchword for this year, that I am Omo Akin. So regardless of whatever happens,
that a child of a warrior.
I am a child of a warrior and I am going to scale through whatever. And, like they say in Yoruba, the name has already started it's already significant now. I wanted to use the Yoruba that says Orukonroe. So for those who do not understand, it just simply means that your name is already reflecting, yes, that kind of way. So that's how I got about the name Omo Akin.
Beautiful. And looking at what you do, it's kind of
evolves.
Yes, evolves around it. Okay, let's talk about your childhood. Yes, behind the camera you were saying you don't want to talk about your childhood, but I'm interested. Okay. Let's talk about your childhood while growing up. How would you describe it? Some people, they will be like, oh, my childhood was fantastic. Oh, some would say my childhood was nothing to write home about. A lot of things affected my childhood stage. If not for this and this, I wouldn't be here. If not for this and that. So how would you describe your childhood?
Let me take a deep breath.
Okay, take a time.
So I am the only female child of a set of triplets.
Wow.
Yes. So my brothers, we are triplets. So I don't have the experience of being a firstborn child or a third-born child. I just know that I have siblings who are not my elder siblings and who are not my younger siblings. I have siblings, right? So we grew up in a very comfortable home. My father retired as a director in National Population Commission. He was a senior civil servant. My mom, she was a teacher, and she's now an entrepreneur, full entrepreneur. So we came from a home where I grew up in a home where my parents taught us what it means to be contented. You know, what it means to be contented, what it means to serve God, to know God, and to love Him. So in my home, they were already teaching us Bible passages. I mean, when I was young, the very first Bible my mom got for us is this Gideon pocket Bible.
Okay, yes.
And so she taught us Matthew 7:7. Yes, that was our very first scripture. She says Matthew 7:7 is ask and it shall be given to you, seek and you shall find, and knock it shall be opened unto you.
Yeah.
So that was how we started learning how to pray. You know, so that's the home I grew up from, a home where we were constantly affirmed. My parents would always talk to us as though we are not just little children, but they would talk to us as their friends. So I grew up in a home where I was very much secured within the confines of my home because my parents were always listening to us, right? Say, for example, we want to do something, we have an interest in that, in, say, football or, say, music, they would encourage us to go for it. Well, with some sort of constraints. You can go for it, but it must not affect your academics.
Yeah.
So we grew up in a home where we were already emboldened with leadership qualities from my home. Now people see me and say that, why are you this bold? I tell them that it all falls back to my family. So family is that unit within a concentric circle that influences every aspect of one's life. So my childhood experience was beautiful. I mean, I don't have an experience where, you know, my parents were, very harsh towards us. They were just lovable.
And they were always there.
They were always there for us, rooting for us. However, they were very disciplined. So imagine your mom is a teacher and you are getting F in class or you are failing at one course. You'll be beaten. So I was well beaten. I need to say this because I know my mom is going to watch this interview. My mom beat me so much. She tortured me. I think torture is a very strong word. So my mom beat me very well because I was very stubborn growing up. So I think God knew. Because
you were the only female.
Exactly. And I know that God knew the kind of person I would be. So He gifted me my mother. Because I'm sure that if it were another woman who had trained me, I may not have turned out as much as I am today. So I am grateful for parenthood, having good parents. Until today, my parents support me. I am having an interview somewhere, my father will come, give me all the support that he can give to me. My mom will come, pray for me. You know, sometimes even in school, things get really hard. And my parents would just say, you know what, you will get through this, we'll pray with you. So that's my childhood experience. It's just...
Really, parents need to support their children. And thank God for the beatings. Yeah. Thank God for the beatings because I can see it. It's really working. So kudos, Mama. Thank you for the beating. Yeah, because in this generation, you know, when you beat a child, they call it child abuse.
Please.
Even if you are the mother of that child. Like, oh, this is a child. Why would you beat a child in this century, in this... So, you know, a lot of things are not just right. I like to ask people to share their childhood experience for us to know those things that our parents did to us that makes us relevant today. And parents of this century are not putting it into action. They feel like, oh no, I can't beat my child. No, it's child abuse, this and that. But we are Africa, we are in Nigeria, not outside there. So I just feel like we all need to come to that realization that beating a child doesn't mean child abuse, or is it?
No.
But you are thanking God now for the beating.
I'm thanking God my mom didn't spare the rod.
You can see.
Because and this doesn't apply to me alone. It was the three of us. Now my brothers are doing very well. Even academically, we are doing amazingly. And I can boast to say that in our academics, we have done so well and we are still doing so much more well. And I have seen how these things are. The tenets they imbibed us with has become our life values, right? No, when it comes to parenting, I am thankful to God for giving me such experience and such advantage of good parents.
Great. So while growing up, who had the greatest influence on you?
That question is very tricky. But I would say my both parents.
Okay.
My both parents. Now I would say my both parents because they were the voices of reasoning for me.
Okay.
My parents were very strong influences. They had very strong influences on me, the way I think right now, is thanks to my parents. Like I said, my mom is entrepreneurial. So when my mom comes back from work, right, she sits down and opens her accounting book and start taking stock from what happened in the morning till night, cross-check everything. Though she will come back from work really tired, but my mom will sit down and take the stock every day and make sure that all of our workings are very detailed. She's highly meticulous. And I was able to see that, oh, this is how you can become accountable, right? And that influenced me. For my dad, in terms of the work I do, he's a civil servant, and he worked with people, he worked with women. When it comes to reproductive health, my father worked across institutions like that. And so I was able to see how a man can do so well in his career that's all over Nigeria. He is known for the works that he does. And when people commend my father, they say that he's such an excellent worker. So imagine me growing up in a home where I am seeing my father doing amazing work in what he does, and his integrity is never at stake. His integrity is always top notch for him. And growing up to seeing my mother, who is very disciplined at her business and how she treats her business and treats her children. Come on. They are both very strong voices of influences for me. And that has very much attributed to what I have become today.
So looking at how they have impacted and influenced you, what is that particular trait? Would I call it trait? Yeah, trait or attitude or like lifestyle that you have like coined from them, that this is what I'll go home with and this is what I'll keep growing with, and it has been with you and it's still with you now? What is that thing?
Contentment. My parents never had it all. They never had it all. So when my parents got married, they were living in just a room apartment. You know what's the Nigerian, like local parlance, we'll call it a self-contained. From a self-contained, they were still contented. They moved into a 2-bedroom flat. From a 2-bedroom flat again, they moved into their own home.
Wow.
I mean, a 4-bedroom flat with another home somewhere, right? And I have come to see that even when we were living in a, self-con 2-bedroom flat, there was this level of self-respect that my parents exuded. That's we cannot beg. We have all that we need, and we trust God to provide for us at every step of the way. And they always made sure that we're comfortable. I am in that place in my life. I don't have everything I need, to be very sincere with you. I see some people and I love what they are doing. I love the assets they have. But I may not have it at the moment, right? But I am so contented. I am contented knowing that what I have is mine.
Yeah.
And I did not possess it in an ungodly manner. But I possess this out of my hard work. And I know, however, that there are higher possibilities awaiting me.
Sure.
Right? And definitely what is mine will come. So I'm just in that place where my parents taught all of us how to be contented. And then secondly, hard work. Hard work. My parents are extremely intense and tenacious. So whatever work it is that is committed into their care, they make sure it is excellent. They deliver 100%, 101%. And so that has rubbed off on me across the teams that I work in and across the things that I do. So hard work and contentment has been 2 major value systems my parents have indoctrinated me in. So I am grateful for that.
So contentment, I think this is one word that is missing in this generation.
Yeah.
Especially when we look at the youths, the younger ones. Contentment, being satisfied with what you have.
Oh yeah.
The fact that the other person has this doesn't mean you will not have it later. It's a topic that we really need to talk about this period, because that is what is affecting a lot of younger people, teenagers especially. They are not contented with what they have. All right, let's move on. So you are a social entrepreneur.
Yes.
For how long?
For 3 years now.
3 years.
But officially, because when we want to talk about these things, Nigeria will measure when you got your business registered or when you got your company registered. So officially, it's a year.
Unofficially.
Unofficially, 3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
Officially.
Officially, it's going to be January.
I would like to ask you, what did you study in school?
English and International Studies.
And what you do now, you're a social entrepreneur. Why the switch? Or what's the correlation?
So what's the correlation between what I studied and what I am doing now? Amazing.
Yeah.
So I studied English. Well, I'm a second class upper degree holder. So I have to say that because it was worth it.
Yeah.
we struggled for the 4 years in school. Shige, you know. But we are good. Right now, English. Okay, so English is a very universal language.
Sure.
In fact, it's a universal language, and so my deep knowledge of semantics, of how to use English, thank God I studied English in school. Let me leave it like that. You know, and to the point where people are always saying that, what is it? You speak too much English, go and sit down. And some people would say that, you speak good. I really want to know what you studied in school. And so I am saying that, thank God I studied English because I am well polished. I am not as polished as I want to be, but my use of tenses, my dictions, mannerisms, they were all thanks to what I studied in school, my background knowledge. Now, in terms of international studies, because it's a double major.
Yeah.
So for international studies, he gave me a global view about world systems. So right now, in terms of social intelligence, cultural intelligence, in terms of approaching complex problems using policies, evidence-based policies, data-driven approaches, and all. It was all thanks to the background knowledge that I also had in school.
Cool.
You know, on English and international studies. So that's the correlation between what I studied and where I am at the moment.
Now, so looking at you doing, going into social entrepreneurship, what was the idea behind this before you going into it? What motivated you? What inspired you to go into it?
Well, so I never knew that what I have done or what I am doing now is all can be remodeled into a social into a social enterprise. I never knew all the things I've done and what I am doing now can be remodeled into a social enterprise. What I know for sure is when I was growing up, I had always been a humanitarian. I had always seen myself lending voices to the causes that matters to me and the causes that I am most passionate about. Okay. And that would be in terms of girls' rights, advocating for girls to lead, advocating for, say, Rebecca to be a class captain. Rebecca has to be the class captain. I don't care if she's a girl, I don't care if she's a boy, but we want Rebecca as our class captain. Don't we all want Rebecca as a class captain? Everybody says we want good. So I had always seen myself in such positions of leadership. Thank God for Miss Salami, my secondary school teacher, who had seen that in me and groomed me, nurtured me. So she made me the PRO of C&D, Cultural and Dramatic Society. And so what I'm saying in essence is I'd always seen myself in that position of fighting for people, lending voices to the causes of girls, being a strong influence for girls as well. So when I was that was my secondary school. So morphing into university, I started leading faith-based movements for girls in school. So I had a network called Ladies Connect Network at Osun State University, Ikire campus. It was the humanities. It was humanities and art and humanities college. Then, so I started leading faith-based movement. You know, girls would come around, and then I realized that if they want to even run for faculty leadership positions, they would want to drag me in. Please come and what do you think we can do? Give us strategies, give us key points, give us action points. And then my school, again, we had Union Radio. They gave me a slot, to talk to girls, in my faculty. So I started seeing myself in that circle where I was always being called upon for anything pro ladies on campus, way back in my secondary school too. And before you knew it, I moved from there. I went for service in Abuja. And that was when I started my initiative. That's the Tolulope Makinwa initiative. So that movement sparked the whole social entrepreneurial being that I am. Because at that time when I was there, when I was in Abuja, I realized that I didn't have a community of girls like myself, girls who are entry level, who are entry level workers or entry level employees, needing a community where we can talk to one another. What is it we're going through, and how can we harness our strength? How can we get more knowledge on SDGs, because it was all about SDG was the wave of the moment, in that year. And so I saw myself again leading another bevy of ladies on how to be courageous and all that. And that was how it all started for me. So I didn't see it as a career. I saw it as a mission.
Wow.
Right. And that's where I am now at the moment.
You're really doing great.
Thank you.
It's your mission. I can really see that. Okay, before we move on, I'd like to ask you what social entrepreneurship is all about for the benefit of those watching us. So we'll do that after this time out. Viewers, stay with us. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Okay, before the break, I was asking you who is a social entrepreneur and what does social entrepreneurship entail?
Okay, so well, we are in a very limiting environment, by which, now when I use the word limiting, that just simply means that they're not, we do not have a defined resource to give light to what exactly social entrepreneurship is.
Okay.
So I would say that a social entrepreneur is an individual or a person whose impact is addressed to providing solutions to environmental problems or social problems, basically environmental and social problems, right? Now, for social entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship is a process by which an individual develops solutions, to complex problems, however, making money out of it. Now, when I say making money, I'm not just talking about just let's make money for the fun of it, no, but deriving profits from what they are doing. And so the monies they are able to get, revenues that have been generated, they pump it back, into impacting more communities, more people through their products or through their services, right? So it's more like addressing target populations, right? Addressing target population, addressing complex problems, it may not even be complex, addressing problems or conditions, environmental, social.
Okay, now let's talk about, you have been into this for years now, and looking at the current situation of the country and what is happening all over, what are those things that you've been able to identify as a problem and picking it up, then providing solutions to them?
Like I said, Nigeria is complex, right? And every social entrepreneur has to define their theory of change. They have to define what exactly they are addressing. We cannot address all the problems because every day you wake up to a condition. Every day you wake up to a problem. Just living here now and going to, say, outside this area that we are in, you would see something that will drive you to will stir you up to want to provide a solution to all those things. So one thing first, so in answering your question, what I would prefer is identify exactly what you're doing, identify exactly what you want to do, the problems you want to solve. Is it environmental problems? Is it social problems? So Nigeria we have a lot of things. We have a lot of complex areas. We have a lot of problems. We have a lot of solutions too. We have a lot of approaches. We have a lot of policies. We have a lot of systems. So address exactly what you want to do. So now, say for example, I'm a social entrepreneur, but what I am addressing is bridging the knowledge gap that exists among female-led social enterprises. So that's defined already.
Okay.
Right. And now when we talk about female-led social enterprises, you're talking about female-led social enterprises in management, female-led social enterprises in environment, female-led social enterprises in agriculture, female-led social enterprises in fashion industry. So it's it's cumbersome, right? So that question you asked me, this is the best way I know that I can approach that, because trust me, I can't even provide a solution right now to this environment we are living in. Nigeria that we are living in, because it's varied. So my response to that is, let's define exactly what is a problem,
Okay.
where the problem is at, whom the problem is affecting, what products and services can we design to mitigate the effects of such problems, right? Who can we partner with, and all that. So yeah.
So I see what you do as more of service to humanity. So can we also refer to an NGO practitioner as a social entrepreneur?
No, we cannot.
So what's the difference? Thank
you for that question. An NGO is basically working for charity causes.
Okay.
And how NGOs get their funds, they get their funds through donations, bootstrapping, grants, But for a social enterprise leverages on commercial pathways. So when I talk about commercial pathways, I'm talking about the inclusion of business models in operating a social enterprise. It's an enterprise. So there has to be some sort of buying, some sort of selling. So it could be a product or a service that you design, and then earnings that are generated or revenues that are generated, you take a portion, you pour it back into communities,
okay.
And in some cases you can partner with there's a term we call B to Corp, that's business to corporation. So you can partner with the corporate, you can work or collaborate with the corporate partner to say that what we are making this product, the earnings that we have gotten from this product, we want to look for a foundation or want to look for someone or an individual, or a target population that we can empower with what we are getting. So let us create a product by which we can get money from this and pump it back to enable, some certain kind of people or a target population and all of that. So it's very, very, it's very broad, right? It's very broad. So now for social enterprise, I talked about business model. So there are different business models. We have the embedded social enterprise. We have integrated social enterprise. We have social enterprises that are just for profits. Like basically, it is what we get. I mean, there is no aspect of doing things freely, right? But for NGO is charitable causes. Social entrepreneurship is not charitable causes. It is impact plus profits. Okay. Right. So I would say that impact plus profit is equal to a social enterprise. Okay. So what is at the heart of a social enterprise is the people, the target population. How can we harness, right? How can we harness opportunities at the base of the pyramid? Okay. Now, for just an NGO, I can easily set up an NGO. I can easily, get food and go and distribute it to a certain communities. However, NGOs are structured too. Yeah. So it's not like NGOs are not structured. They are a structured entity, right? So, but in terms of that commercial pathways, that is what differentiates an NGO from a social enterprise.
Okay. So now, looking at what you have just analyzed, how do people embrace social enterprise in this part of the world?
So when we talk about how the readiness of people towards social entrepreneurship, I will tell you that it is very, very low and almost discouraging. Yes, reason I would say it's almost discouraging and very low is because there is not a lot of awareness and there is not a lot of information or knowledge about social entrepreneurship that is circulated. So people know social entrepreneurship maybe as a course, or maybe most cases, people stumble into social entrepreneurship, right? And say, for example, someone sends me a message saying that I never knew that what I was doing can be remodeled into a social enterprise. It was until I started following you, until I started listening to what you do, that was when I knew that, oh, this is even a social enterprise. Now let me remodel my company as a social enterprise. So it's very tough because one, people are not aware of what is social entrepreneurship. So there is a definition problem. Like I explained, there is a definition problem. The second problem, again, or the second challenge, is there is not a lot of awareness. So people look at social enterprise and say They are just a part of the third sector organizations. They are CSOs or, no, not even CSOs, they are NGOs. So people call us NGOs or they're non-profits. And so when they see you putting a price tag to some of the services that you offer or deliver, there is a question of, there's a caveat of, is it not supposed to be free?
Free, yeah.
So you see where the problem is coming from. The challenge of awareness, the challenge of funding, the challenge of the limiting environments that we are in. So that's why I said it's almost discouraging, but we'll keep pushing because there is such a wave right now by which social change makers are needed across every sector.
Sure, especially in our country here.
Yes, especially in our country. I mean, I like to mention the name of, I like to mention people like Tunde Onokoya, Chess and Slum. I mean, who teaches young boys how to play chess, and not just playing chess, but, you know, it's a social impact, right? Social impact, and it's attracting different people to areas like Makoko, all those places. That's a social enterprise. We have the likes of Ashoka, you know, the likes of Ashoka. We have the likes of, I mean, there are just quite a number, even Mwazu Africa, quite a number of institutions and individuals who are already saying that, who are already changing the narrative of social entrepreneurship. And now it's already becoming an interesting movement, because now we are seeing a lot of people wanting to make impact. People are no longer thinking about let's just make money. But yes, people are still thinking about let's just make money, but we have more people tilting to the direction of let us make money and make impact
as well.
So let us make sure that the products and services we are creating, I mean, we are developing, meets the real need of these people. Let us go and ask them what the needs are. Let us conduct a needs assessment. So there's a lot of conversations right now about impact right now. So, and there's also a lot of conversation about generational business opportunity, right? So I can say that at the moment, I think I like the way that this term social entrepreneurship is becoming a wave term in Nigeria.
So how can we like educate people, create the awareness, and make people understand the need for social entrepreneurship in the country?
Can we create more awareness? Is to create more awareness, right? We can create more awareness by creating more of it. And that means we need to leverage all the new media, the digital media. This is one of it. And that's why I'm thankful to Kaftan TV and thankful to you as well. So leveraging on new media, leveraging on newspapers, and putting out the word out there, what a social entrepreneurship is about. Who are they? Where can you find them? Right? And you would be so shocked that in Nigeria alone, there are about over 440,000 social enterprises registered in Nigeria alone. Alone, over 440,000. And almost 70% of the leadership of these social entrepreneurs, they are young people. So there is now a lot of conversations every day, Twitter Space, IG Live, even newspapers, radio, TVs, you know, talking about these things, particularly talking about good works. Yeah. So now we see social, it's being covered or being shielded as good works for the community, right? So people are talking about it. So we can leverage on influential marketing as well. I mean, we're already seeing brand ambassadors, people that we call celebrities. I mean, influencers talking about the good works a company is doing for its people, or for its beneficiaries, or for its customers, or for its clients. So that's how, I think, how we can bridge this gap and how we can get more people to know about what we are doing is to make more noise. Yeah. So like I always tell my team at at Mwazu Africa, I say that how we can get the word out there is to make more noise about it. Because attention is a commodity, particularly in Nigeria. So attention is a commodity. How can we be in the faces of people? It's by being in the faces of people, right? And that just simply means that the content we put out there has to be intriguing, right? Putting out more content, putting out more stories, because a lot of people are visual learners, you know, putting out more stories, partnering with organizations, particularly organizations where you know that you can leverage on their network, you can leverage on their reputation, right? So these are I mean, that's what we are doing at Moazo Africa as well, to create more sensitization projects, more sensitization programs about social entrepreneurship. So the answer to that question will be more awareness, making more good noises, and letting everybody see what you do, right?
And people also need to understand its benefits, because that's one thing that people feel like, oh, what's the need for it? What's the benefit? Because we are always particular about what we are going to benefit from a particular thing. So shed more light on the benefits.
Okay, so there is a particular data that is available on British Council's page, and says that in a very, very few years from now, let's say in less than a decade from now, social enterprises will be responsible for over 10 million jobs that would arise. And that's because problems will become, like a lot of problems, there'll be a lot of complex problems needed to be solved. Now, what would that mean for the labor force? If social enterprises emerge to create jobs where people would not naturally think that there'll be job opportunities in those areas. So in terms of increased workforce, social entrepreneurship in the coming decade will be a very, very, very strong, strong influence in terms of creating job opportunities, in terms of partnership opportunities, in terms of newer knowledge, in terms of newer researches, in terms of newer findings. Come on, the benefits are very, very limitless.
Okay, so we have a limited time now, but I also need to add, because we've seen people, even younger people, that will say that they have passion. They have passion, like serving humanity. They have the passion. They want to start something. So for someone who have the passion, just like me, I love serving humanity. Yes, reaching ends to the needy. So how can one start? Like, you want to start yours. How can you start?
Okay, so thank you for that question. I think that's very brilliant. The reason I'm saying this is because we are in just a generation where people just post something and then they say that I am now running an NGO. Oh, right now I am a social entrepreneur. You don't start by just because you have a following on social media and because you have pictures or content of you shaking hands with the poor or sharing textbooks to students and all of that. Then you are now a social entrepreneur, or you are now an NGO, basically, practitioner and all of that. So how do you start? The question will be, what is the things that drive you? What is that thing that when you see them, your whole world seems like, oh my God, I need to do something. There is always a trigger for why you act the way you act. And so in terms of fixing problems, the question will be, what are those things that you see? You can't just, you want to do something. You are anxious to do something. You want to do something. Figure out that problem. Say, for example, you don't like to see young children hawking. Now, it's not their fault they want to hawk. It's a social economic problem. Yeah. Their parents do not have the financial wherewithal, and so they just said, you know what, go and hawk this one. The little money you get, let us. So if they were doing well, do you think they'll put their children on the streets? Of course not. So now you know that the problem is not because the parents cannot, it's not because the parents want to put them there. It's because they cannot afford it. Now the question will be, what economic intervention do you want to introduce to such families who don't have the financial wherewithal? Do you want to upskill them? Do you want to enroll them into a school empowerment program? Do you want to put them somewhere that they can make money? And so the monies they make, they are able to use it to send their children to school. So instead of them hawking during school hours, they're in school. So these are the ways you get to the root of the problem. So the first thing is get to the root of the problem. Create a need assessment. And for every problem that you want to fix, there are target populations. Yeah. For every problem. So your target population may not be the affluent population. It may be the population that is at the base of the pyramid. That's the poor of the poor, right? So there is a term called design thinking, right? And that's when you begin to empathize those people that have the problem, let's empathize with them, let's listen to them. That's when you can now define exactly what the problem is and what solutions that need to be introduced.
Yeah.
And then when you define, then you go back again with your team to say, is it a product? Can we design a product? Can we design a service? You know, and are these products and services, are they going to be sellable? Do we need to pitch it to high-paying customers? You know, these are the kind of questions you need to ask. And then you take, after ideating what the problems will be and what the solutions that you want to profile will be, then you can now begin to test iterate these products and services through your projects, through your programs, through your interventions.
But you have to belong to a particular team
no,
or association.
You don't have to be. You don't have to belong to anywhere. I am taking you through the process of starting right.
Yeah.
Right? You have to empathize. I mean, know your triggers. That's you. The problems you want to solve, right? The solutions that you want to introduce. And trust me, the problems you want to solve are not new problems. People have already tried to solve them. People are solving them, and people have solved them. So it is for you to now go and check what resources are available in that area, right? How can you begin to groom yourself? You that you want to solve these problems, how can you begin to acquire much knowledge in that regard? So you can become at least an authority. So it's not like when they are saying something, you know, you want to fix a problem and they're say climate change and they're talking about emissions, gas emissions, and you're saying, what, what does that, what did you say? No, you have to come to a place where you get knowledge, you acquire much knowledge, empathy, define, ideate, test iterate, and then launch.
And then also have like financial stability, because finance, don't you think, is one major? You
cannot test iterate without finances. You cannot test it. Even when you want to go empathize, is money you would use to get to the people you want to get to. Say, for example, your target population, they are resident in a particular zone or location. You would not tell the person driving you there that it is true faith. There are some things that are not done through faith, and this is where theory of change will come in. What are the resources? What are the inputs? What are the outputs? What are the things? What are the constraints in this project? What are the assumptions? So this is where finances will come in, and that's why I said that there are a lot of funding, limited funding opportunities for social enterprises, very limited. And the thing is, we are doing very good jobs, but the funds that will propel us to even reach more people and to create more services and products are not there. And even if they are there, the struggle is real. Because it's not just you that is competing for the same thing. Other people are also competing for the same thing with even a better approach, you know, to solving these social problems we are talking about. So I'm going to say that in answering your question, you can't wake up one morning and just decide that you'll be a social entrepreneur. You have to go through some level of finding yourself first. You need to find yourself.
Okay, sorry to cut you short. Now, you are someone who have the passion for it, but you do not have the financial resources, and you want to begin, you want to start. How can someone like that start?
Just start.
How?
You know, there are some projects, there are some solutions, there are some products, there are some services and products or projects or solutions that are not capital intensive.
Okay.
You can actually start a social enterprise by just teaching people basic things. Like I mentioned that I had a mentor who has a fashion industry, who didn't know that what she was doing was also social enterprise as well. So what she does is she has a company, she makes dresses, right? She has a company, she makes dresses. The monies that she gets or the revenues that she generates, she uses at least some percent of that money, takes it outside, recruits people, girls that are from underprivileged homes, bring them in, trains them, gives them fund, and tells them that, you know what, this fund, go and maybe go and buy a machine or something, just go and start up something. That's social enterprise. That's social entrepreneurship. So now, in such cases, I am working, let's say for example, I'm working, I'm earning. I can just decide that every Saturday, I am dedicating every Saturday to a number of women, just teaching them how to make beads, right, in my spare time, right? How to make beads in my spare time, right? And what is required from you is just show up. Go and buy your equipment, but show up. right? And the equipment could be, very easy, like, twine, fishing line, and all of those things. Go and buy or show up. And in some cases, thank God for virtual.
Yeah.
You can just teach virtually.
Sure.
And before you know it, these girls, they learn. After learning, and they make these products, they sell within their homes. I mean, so that they can give them a feedback. This one you made is not good. I don't think an outside customer will buy it. Then they remake their product, they repackage it, then they sell it. So you see that there are some products or solutions or projects or interventions, that you want to introduce that may not even need so much of a capital to begin with. So I would advise that you stick to that first. And when you yourself that want to start, when you have come to that financial, to that place where you are financially stable, or to that place where you are financially independent, then you can now say you want to take this thing bigger. But I would suggest that you start small and then pivot.
Thank you so much for your time. Okay, before we wrap up, in just like 60 seconds, what will be your message to everyone watching this?
All right, so my message to everybody watching is there is so much that you can be, right? There is so much you can be. There is so much that you can do, right? And I don't want to be emotional, but looking at my life, there is really so much you can be. And I'll just say that invest in your personal development. So to everybody, personal development is not costly. It is essential. So that will be my takeout face or my sign-off face. Invest in your personal development and let your light so shine that you cannot stop it. Make sure that you harness every social media platform that you can possibly harness and talk about the works that you do. You do not know who is watching you. So that's going to be my word for everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much. We would have loved to continue this conversation, to ask more questions, especially talking about social media, how you use social media. All right, thank you, viewer, for watching. You've heard our guest, Miss Tolulope Makinwa, speaking on social entrepreneurship. So this is a call to wake up, from our slumber. We can do much more. Look around your community. Look at that thing that you have passion for, what you love to do. Look at the problems in your community, how you can provide solutions to them. You don't have to have the big money, no. Just have to start somewhere. Make sure you are impacting lives. That's the award for us today. So let's take a time out. We'll be back shortly. Wow, that was a lovely conversation with Miss Tolulope Makinwa speaking on social entrepreneurship. You see why it's so necessary for you to get informed. What you do not know is absolutely beyond you. So we need to just make an impact. That is the most important thing to take away from this interview today, that you need to make an impact. As much as you want to make money, you must also try to make an impact. Look at the problems in your community and try to provide solutions to them. You don't have to have the big money to get started. You can start from somewhere. So this is the much we can take for today's episode of Amazing Amazon on Captain TV. Till I come your way again next week, I remain your host, Tosin Adeyemi. Bye for now.